and I'm back with my Thoughtful Thursdays. I think I'm on this trip of finding emotions that have not been spoken about. And if you've missed my last Thoughtful Thursdays, I spoke about regrets and choices and how they affect decision making. And today, I'm going to be talking about awe. And this is something that I actually researched quite a lot last year. And then I said, okay, maybe it's not as interesting, but I think it has suddenly come to light again. And awe actually, as Einstein says, is the source of all true art and science. And in fact, psychologists and in fact the innovative sciences are talking about awe. It's no longer a luxury emotion item, and it is the reason to study awe is that the other emotions, the 6 emotions everybody knows about, the sadness and the anger, the happiness and the surprise. But awe is something that is very, very difficult to define and also talk about. And you'll see the struggle as this is the first Thoughtful Thursdays. Maybe there's a bit of a struggle, but I'm trying to define what awe is. And in fact, Keltner and Hyde have actually defined awe, and there are 2 qualities of awe. One is vastness. It is the perceived sense of something that is bigger than ourselves. And the second one is cognitive. It is the stimulus, our mind not being, being able to assimilate the stimulus. And that's a cognitive function of awe. So vastness, and the second one is a cognitive one. But why am I talking about awe? And if you look at, in fact, the neuroscientist Bo Lotto actually spoke about our evolutionary mind. Our evolutionary mind, actually, when you really date back, awe is linked with fear and dread. And it's not the same today with the way we look at the word awe, right? We say the word awesome because it's got a positive emotion. But way, way back, awe was always about fear and dread, and I think that's part of our evolutionary brain. And our brain always, if it looks at awe and if there is some kind of fear and the fear of uncertainty, it tries to get closure and complete it. And what he's trying to point out in his TED Talk, and he says that today we don't need to do that. And today we need to learn to experience awe. And he actually conducted an experiment, in France. He's a neuroscientist from France. And he actually did an experiment where, the famous Cirque du Soleil, where you have the performers and the entertainers. And it is a mind-blowing, act of performance. He actually had participants that he did an experiment before and after they attended the Cirque. And he found that there was a decreased activity in the prefrontal cortex, right? Which, tries to process decision making, trying to make sense. And in fact, an increased activity in the DM, in the right brain, which is about creativity. And what that tells us is that today we do not have to fear uncertainty. And he leaves, us with a question. And he says that how do you use awe? And I love that question, and I never ever thought about it before. How do you use something? How do you use this emotion of awe? And he says that we have to seek the unknowing, the extraordinary, and enter this feeling of the unknown and uncertain with a feeling that you want to seek to understand rather than convince yourself as to what is happening. And I'll repeat this again because I think it's very subtle. You're entering the field of uncertainty with a quest of understanding rather than convincing, which is what our mind tends to do all the time. You always want to figure out, you always want closure. But when you want to experience awe, you just enter with a feeling of understanding. In fact, the Arizona State University, Michelle Chiota, who's done a lot of work and runs the Splat Lab, actually talks about that awe is experienced by most people at least 2.5 times in a week. And I found that very fascinating. And she says that it is not dependent on the objective phenomena that is around us. In fact, it is about how we perceive and engage with the world around us. And in fact, she says that, the way you can experience awe is our mind has to want to experience novel and unexpected things, to seek extraordinary things around us, novel in the beauty of the world and in fact nature. And she always, one of her articles, she says that I want people and I want them to do a favor, is instead of awe seeking you out, you should seek awe. And I thought that was a fantastic advice, because we always think awe will happen to us when we go to see the Sistine Chapel or when we go and see the Northern Lights. But I think her message is that we can seek awe in our everyday life. And that's why it's not a luxury emotion anymore. Awe is something that happens to us at least 2.5 times in a week. I hope you enjoyed this Thoughtful Thursday and have a fantastic weekend ahead of you.